We've got a green flag now being waved, sort of not quite at the back of the field, but partway down. 5-second board has been shown. Red lights are on. Engine notes are rising. Off go the red lights. Off go the car. And our pole sitter, Shane Kelly, just stuttered away from the start again, and he's been swallowed up by the rest of the pack. And it's Chris Dittman that's going to have the inside line of Robbie Watts as they head down towards Riches. And in fact, he's made that move stick before they've even got there. So our pole sitter is having a nightmare of a weekend so far, because he's been swallowed right up. Look at that spray as they head down towards Wilson's for the first time. There's no question that it's got to be wet, judging by the amount of spray coming off there. Chris Dittman, thankfully, his wets are paying off this time at the moment. He's jumped up into first position from third on the grid, and I think it's Robbie Watts that will be sat there in second position as we wait to see them appear down at Brundle and Nelson for the first time. But Shane Kelly would easily be down in sort of 6th or 7th position, is my suspicion. Keep an eye on Jacopo Sebastiani, who started pretty much out of position down in 6th place there. 2 of the pit stops have come back out already.
Yeah, that's Richard Purcell then that's still waiting down there, I think, isn't he? Tony Bishop, by the way, also had a really poor start from further down the order, so he's now pretty much at the back of the pack as the front of the pack are making their way through Coram, and the fight is on here for second place. Robbie Watts running right out to the edge of the track, trying to find some grip. Remember, in the wet, that is where the grip is. It's not on the traditional racing line, so you'll see in these conditions drivers getting nowhere near the apexes of the corners, trying to find a little bit of grip and traction. But it is indeed going to be Chris Dittman, as it was yesterday, leading the early going. Robbie Watts second, side by side for third then. Round the outside is going Jacopo Sebastiani, trying to get around the outside of Cian Carey, but Cian Carey will hang on to that third place in towards Riches. Sebastiani is fourth, 5th place for yesterday's winner James Heffernan, then 6th place for Shane Kelly, so he dropped all the way down to 6th by the end of the opening lap. I think he's actually gained a couple of positions. I think he was further back than that. Then it's Gino Yussi in 7th, 8th place then for Mark Harrison, 9th for Tony Bishop after his poor start, and 10th for George Lyon. We still are waiting for, well, Stuart Wiltshire went through after his pit stop in 13th place, some 18 seconds off the race lead.
And I'm wondering whether we had an issue there for the number 18 car, David Gillette, because he's just gone through now, and I wouldn't expect him to be that far off the pace. Look at everybody arriving down at Brundle and Nelson, and it looks like Jacopo Sebastiani has managed to make that move up into, what will that be? That will be, is that second or third? It'll be third position, won't it? So it looks like he's managed to get past Cian Carey, and there's various squabbles, not just with each other's car, but for traction by the looks of it, down at Brundle and Nelson. And I just love the sight of those rooster tails as through come our leaders. Still, Chris Dittman has got quite a comfortable lead at the moment before we drop back to Robbie Watts, who's going to now see the white and turquoise car of Sebastiani, number 6, starting to close in on now. He's broken past Cian Carey. Behind that, it is Shane Kelly and the number 8 car, yesterday's victor, James Heffernan, going side by side. And I think they're still side by side as they're going all the way round Riches. Surely that's not the best way to do that. And I couldn't tell the colours on the camera, unfortunately.
I think it's Heffernan back in front. Shane Kelly went right round the outside of him at Coram and took 5th place away, but then was a bit slow on the extra Murrays, and so Heffernan came right back at him, and it is James who's back in front. So James Heffernan back into 5th place. Already, by the way, Jacopo Sebastiani has closed what was at the line a 9/10 of a second gap to Robbie Watts. That's nothing by the time they reach Wilson, so he's visibly quicker than the second place man. And I reckon if he got in clean air, possibly he's quicker than the race leader Chris Dittman as well, who already has arrived at Nelson and headed towards the bomb hole. It's nose to tail for 2nd through to 6th place. Robbie Watts is a bit of a cork in the bottle here as he defends that 2nd position. He'll be slow off the exit of Nelson, but it's a brave man. He'll go up the inside into the bomb hole, but clearly Jacopo Sebastiani is a brave man, because that's exactly what he did.
No, Sebastiani's span, he's gone pirouetting round and round. I believe it's him, because it looks like a very light colour, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not there anymore. Well, I said that was a brave move to make, and it was perhaps a little foolish. I think he's rejoined, hasn't he? But down in 6th place.
Shane Kelly's just done the move again on Heffernan, but Heffernan's now switching back, and he's just squirming trying to get the noise pedal down there as they came onto the centre straight out of Murray's, and he's managed to make it so that it's now Shane Kelly up ahead of Heffernan, but I don't think that one's done. But it really looks as if Sebastiani was trying to get that move done as quick as possible, because he could see, you call it, Robbie Watts has been a bit of cork in the bottle. It looks like his car is really struggling to handle. When you watch him going down into Brundle and Nelson on the screen there, he is really going deep into both corners. I think he's really struggling to handle with that car. But Sebastiani's got it all to do again, because he's back to 6th. where he started.
Yes, but he's already got up into nearly second place once already, so I'm sure he'll be able to get there again. Might also keep an eye on Shane Kelly now. He's into fourth place. He's chasing after a podium finish. He was really quite frustrated, I think, yesterday that he missed out on a podium. Only fourth place in yesterday's race was Shane, having been supposed to start on pole position, so he'll be out for redemption. Say, look at Jacopo Sebastiani really throwing the car through Brundle and Nelson. You can see that compromised his exit speed up towards the bomb hole that time around, so he needs to be careful. Just rein it in a bit, Jacopo. You've got plenty of time left, 9 3/4 minutes still to go. There's time for him to reach the front runners, who are approaching Murray's once more.
And they're all taking the wide line now, aren't they, through Cora, making sure that they're kicking up that fabulous looking rooster tail to keep their wet tyres in the optimum condition. Through goes our leader Chris Dittman, just pulling further and further away, because Robbie Watts is a cork in a bottle, but not so much now, because there's gap between him and Cian Carey. Cian Carey's now under pressure from Shane Kelly, our pole sitter, looking towards the inside at Rich's, but not quite able to do it, and he tucks himself back in again. Now, has that compromised his exit, or is he going to be looking for a challenge down towards Wilson? It looks like it, because Cian Carey's gone to the right to stay defensive, but looking at Wilson, is he going to go round the outside? He's going to put him on the inside for the left kink. They're struggling to get the power down, aren't they? It's going to be so close, and I think he's still trying to do it.
I think he went through, but they were both so slow, even off the corner, that it's James Heffernan who got a run on the pair of them, so we can see the rooster tails on the back straight. We can't quite see the cars themselves, but I reckon when they arrive at Brundle, James Heffernan will be right there with them. Right, there's Robbie Watts in second, and is that Heffernan now into third? I think he got past the pair of them, didn't he? So James Heffernan's now third, Shane Kelly is fourth, and Cian Carey all the way down to fifth place, but I thought that James Heffernan had a good run out of Chapman Corner. He did, and he is now up into third place. He is the man who's going to try chasing after Robbie Watts now.
Yeah, really, you could see how hard it was for them to get the power down when they were side by side with the wet conditions there, and Heffernan all on his own was able to just take his optimum line and take the speed through, not worry about another car potentially making contact.
Spin at Wilson, sorry, Chris, one of the cars towards the tail end of the field. Yeah. Is that Richard Purcell possibly, who has gone off? Either way, the car is rejoining. They were running at the back anyway, and they're now very much at the back of the field. Oh, yellow flags at Murray's as well, I see on the screen.
Oh yeah, there's a spinner there. It's just rejoining the circuit. He says trying to work out who I think that's going to be. Is that potentially Tony Bishop? I think it may be.
Yes,
Tony
he hasn't
Bishop.
Come through. Yes, absolutely right. The white and fluorescent yellow is Tony.
Judging where that was sort of on the outside of the circuit after they've exited Murray. So I think again that was the power element.
And the other yellow car now of Adrian Holey's just rotated, I think, down at Murray's too, having a nice little battle was Adrian with the number 66 machine of Malcolm Scott. Well, Malcolm comes through, but not Adrian.
This is going through Brundle and Nelson again. Robbie Watts is back to being the cork in the bottle, and I think he's suddenly forced the two cars behind him to go side by side as they head towards the bomb hole, and he has, because that's enabled Robbie Watts to escape again. They're going to be absolutely cussing him. He's causing a nightmare as they come through Coram at the moment. Our leader already onto centre straight. Here comes Robbie Watts, and is he going to be monstered at the moment? That looks like Heffernan, isn't it? I think that sat there.
Kelly, I think.
Is it?
I think Shane Kelly's back ahead of James Heffernan now.
Wow, so Robbie Watts is causing it all to change behind him, isn't he, really? You're right, it is Shane Kelly. Fantastic job there from pole position. A bad start. He's looking towards the inside, but closing that door quite late there was Robbie Watts, and then moved back towards the outside. Cool, that was a bit close, that one, wasn't it? Especially with the spray, that means that it's going to be a little bit tricky to see, but Robbie Watts still sits there as the nuisance in the bottle but as they head up towards Murray's, but it looks towards the outside. Shane Kelly is going to have the inside line. The spinner for Robbie Watts.
Oh, what a shame. I think they might have just banged wheels there as they tried to get onto the line into Chapman, and Robbie ended up getting fired out of the queue, didn't he? Now watch for James Heffernan, because that will have held Shane Kelly up as well, and we've seen already Heffernan has been quite strong out of Wilson and Chapman on the previous lap, so he might be able to find a way back ahead now. Let's see. No, Shane Kelly still second then, but very sideways. Heffernan third, and that man again, Jacopo Sebastiani, is right back with them in fourth. Cian Carey's there in fifth. Any two of those four drivers could fill out the bottom steps of the podium.
Yeah, it looks as though Usi's ahead of Robbie Watts as well now, so that's a good handful of positions lost by Robbie Watts with that spin. I agree, it looked like probably contact, plus we've already seen it is clearly so difficult to get back on the power at that point of the circuit. And big gap now. I think that Robbie Watts just got past Usi again around the outside of Coram. Leaders gap is just growing. Through comes Shane Kelly, the number 11 car in second position. 14.875 is the lead. Heffernan, number 8, is sat there in 8th. Jacopo Sebastiani is up into 4th now. Cian Carey down to 5th position in number 19. Robbie Watts sits there in 6th with it all to do again.
Well, and the man on the move now is James Heffernan, because he's reeled in Shane Kelly for 2nd place, and he fancies his chances of getting one step higher on the podium, I think, doesn't he? The 2 cars behind them are Sebastiani and Carey. They're equally as close together, and Robbie Watts, as you say, did get back ahead of Gino Yussi at Coram on the previous lap, with inches to spare between his outside wheels and the outside edge of the track. If you get a wheel on the grass through there in these conditions, you are a goner. So that was very close stuff for Robbie Watts. A bit of traffic getting in the way there of Sebastiani, and it's still getting in the way, and so Cian Carey will try and get the run towards the bomb hole. Will they be able to get past the slower car there? Answer is yes, thankfully. So the back marker did get out of the way in the end, and so they're both able to find a way past. But look at what that's done. It's allowed Shane Kelly and James Heffernan to pull a huge gap out now over Sebastiani and Cian Carey. With only 4 minutes left, that might be their chances of a podium gone.
Well, I'm guessing somebody's dropped something off the pit wall, because we got a yellow flag at sort of pit entrance, and then a green flag showing just up.
No, there's a car there. There's a car stopped up against the pit. I can see a helmet. Who it is, I'm not sure. Who's not come through?
It looks like one of the yellow cars, doesn't it?
Pass. All I can see is the driver clambering out, but clearly the car, I'm assuming, has conked out and pulled up against the pit wall.
I think that's Malcolm Scott.
Red flag.
Oh, that's a real shame, but I think it was Malcolm Scott. So we got 3 minutes 39 remaining.
That will be a result, I think, now, won't it? Because we've gone past 3/4 distance. My maths isn't good enough to work that out. I think we have, haven't we? Just about gone past 3/4 distance. So I would imagine that we're not going to see a 3.5 minute restart. So that is a shame, because that was all developing quite nicely in the fight for the lower steps on the podium. Shane Kelly, incidentally, just did the fastest lap of the race as well, 1 minute 18.854. But of course the results will go back a lap, so that won't count. So that fastest lap never happened for Shane Kelly, unfortunately. Today, wet tyres were, I think, the only real choice, weren't they?
Yeah, looking at the track this morning, it was a lot wetter than yesterday, but then the sun came out and it was like, oh God, not again. So, but no, we got out there and it knew it was the right choice, but I had my tyres from yesterday, which were very worn, but spun on the green flag lap, which of course wasn't ideal. So, but luckily didn't drop to the back, so I could regain the position. So, got a good start. Shane stalled, unfortunately, but just missed him, and then got a good run on Robbie, and then from then got the head down and got a good gap at the first half of the race, and then just controlled it from there. So I had a lot more pace in the bag, but just controlled it to the end, really.
I've done a couple of people on the outside into first corner, and that sort of got me on to, I think, 4th or 5th. So, but then you're dicing in traffic for a little bit, and it let Chris get away. So once we released it after we got past Robbie, I think the pace was good. But when you're in the spray there and it's so sketchy out there, it's not like it's really wet or it's really dry. So we're just struggling with the grip everywhere. But it was good fun having a dice. But we're P2. We got the podium we wanted to for yesterday. So we're front row for tomorrow, this afternoon, so we can get on with it.
Great fun. And I messed it up at some point, and I spun. I was trying to pass Robbie. And then as I spun, I thought, okay, maybe one car is going to pass me. No, 6 of them or 5 of them went by. And it went really uphill from there. But, managed to get through.